Hello and welcome, this is Noah with Nomad Gaming, and thank you for joining us for another video about the Marvel Champions LCG. Marvel Champions is of course a living card game produced and distributed by Fantasy Flight Games, and we are going to jump in this week with a Hulk release week preview review, talking about the Hulk hero, giving us a comprehensive review, and discussing how I think he's going to play with some of the aspects, all of the aspects actually, that are currently in the game. So let's go ahead and jump into it and take a look at what we have here with our hero coming out this Friday. We've got an identity card that has two faces, which is the standard for identity cards. However, the surprising and exciting news out of Gen Con is that we are going to have three-faced cards coming very soon. More on that if you want to check out that video. It should be linked on the screen somewhere here. Right now, though, let's talk Hulk. Hulk is, of course, has an alter ego of Bruce Banner, who is a genius scientist. He has 4 recover. Experimental research is his action, where he can draw a card and then choose and discard 1 card from his hand, limit once per round. That is an exciting and fun option that we've got. Being able to filter a little bit gives us great options, lets us get what we need into our hand. He's got a hand size of 5 and a whopping 18 hit points for the big green giant. On our hero side, when we become green and mean, we get Hulk. He has no thwart, because why would Hulk thwart? We have 3 attack and 3 defense. He's an Avenger Gamma, and he has the ability Enraged, which is a forced interrupt that says when your turn ends, discard your hand. We have a hand size 4 here, so we're going to be trying to dump everything from our hand onto the table every turn when we're Hulk. This leads us to an idea to probably play a bunch of event cards and things like that, so that you cheap events that you can get played and get out of your hand and keep cycling through to get all that extra value that you can. Maybe a handful of allies, couple of upgrades, but just cheap stuff, trying to get it on the table and not have to waste cards here. Let's take a look at his stat comparison, updated all the way through Hulk. We've got averages here, so let's see. Bruce Banner and Hulk carry with them 18 hit points, which is well above the average of 11.7. In Alter Ego, we have a 5 hand size, which is below average. We have a 4 hand size in Hero, which is below average. We have more recover than most heroes have at 4. We have no thwart, which is terribly below average. We have more attack and more defense than every other hero in the game. And we have an exciting purpose, which is Smash. Let's take a look now and look at the signature card pool that we have for this hero. The signature card pool here is a really interesting one. I want to break it down a little bit by type, because it's interesting to see how much emphasis the design team put on this idea of having a lot of events and very few other things around to clog up our hands. We do have a resource card and limitless strength, which is going to give us 3 strength resources, and as you can see from the spread here on the screen, there is only 1 card on the entire signature pool that doesn't have a strength resource, which is fantastic, because you can see by a quick review there's a lot of little strength icons in the text on these cards that we'll talk about in just a moment. So looking at the breakdown by type, we do have 10, count them, that's 10, 5 sets of 2 events in our 15 card signature pool. We have 2 triple resource cards in that limitless strength. We have our 1 off resource card in Banner's Laboratory, which is a support. We want to get that out of our deck as soon as we see it, put it on the table, and take advantage of it later. And then finally we have 2 upgrades, one of which stays on us all the time, and one of which recycles into our deck after we flip out of hero form. So let's take a closer look at the cards that we've got in the deck, talk about what we think they're going to do in terms of efficiency and play. And we'll start with our events. The first 3 of our events that we're going to cover here are Crushing Blow, which is a 1-cost event with an attack. You can only spend strength resources to play it, and it has deal damage to an enemy equal to your attack. So this is a 1 for 3, or possibly more depending on what else you're playing. With the Hulk, great work. I mean, this is a cool card. It is an attack. It does trigger things like Retaliate and does take Tough and Guard into account. But it's an interesting card, and with all the strength resources, I don't think we're going to have trouble playing this. Also, if we build properly, we should have more strength resources in our aspect cards, so that's a good play. Really excited for this. Thunderclap is a signature move for Hulk, so it's got a card here. It's a 3-cost event, which means that in hero form it's probably going to take all of our hand. This plus 3 cards is 4 cards, and that's all we've got. So It's a hero action. You get to choose 3 different enemies and deal 3 damage to each of them. A little disappointed with the image quality there, but we'll try to do better with that next time. Hulk Smash is a 3-cost event. It too is a superpower and an interrupt. When you make a basic attack, you get plus 10 attack for that attack. So this is going to take your whole hand, but it's a plus 10. And if you only use strength resources, it gets overkill. So really incentivizing building with heavy strength resources in the deck so that you can play cards like this. Plus 10 attack, that's 13 total attack going at something, and it has overkill if we need it to. Pretty exciting and awesome card there. Again, this is going to take your whole hand, but looks like it's probably worth it. We now also have the 2-cost event, Unstoppable Force. That's a hero action where you can ready Hulk, and if you paid for this only using strength resources, you draw a card. So it replaces itself. Drawing the card is probably most of the time not going to be very relevant. If you spend 2 plus this to ready him, you're going to have 1 card left in your hand. Odds are it's probably not going to be something you can play with that 1 card. But if your last card you're holding is maybe a triple resource card, you've got a chance to play anything that comes out of your deck. So it has a situational awareness, but I don't know if I'm going to break my neck trying to play this with just strength resources most of the time. Then we've also got Suborbital Leap, which is a 3-cost event. It's his other superpower. It's a thwart action, which makes up a little bit for our 0 thwart, but it says hero action thwart, remove 3 threat from a scheme. 5 threat instead if you paid for this only using strength resources. So this is incentivizing, again, that strength resource emphasis, and it gives us a 5 threat pop, which is really good because Hulk doesn't have any threat naturally on his own. Let's take a look at that resource card. Not a lot to say about it. It's a triple resource. You can only use it in hero form. It's interesting because it is limited to hero form, but it's got such bulky power. I mean, this 1 card counts for 3. You can play a lot of stuff in this deck for 3 cost. Everything in the signature pool is 3 or less, and then if you build right, you're going to be playing 3 or less with everything else. So cool card. Look for it to pop into your hand. Play it in the right time. Let's look at our support. We've got Banner's Laboratory, or Laboratory, depending on your take on the English language. That's a 2-cost support location. So Banner's going to get plus 2 recover, putting us up to 6, which is a third of our health pool, which is awesome. And then we have an alter ego resource ability that says we can generate mental resources with this while we're in alter ego. So the resource ability probably just incidental, but always useful. And then the plus 2 recover, it's going to be a big deal. It can give us a third of our health back and really keep us as long as possible in our giant form. So I like that. I guess I can't say giant form anymore either. We know that's an actual thing coming, but Hulk is a giant green monster, so I like to call him giant. As far as upgrades go, we've got 2 of them. There's a 1-cost upgrade, Boundless Rage. This one's the one that recycles. It's a condition gamma. In hero form only, Hulk gets plus 1 attack. And then if you change form, you discard this card. So this is kind of cool, and it kind of encapsulates the benefit and burden of him switching back and forth. You do have to discard it, but putting the strength resource back into your pool is not going to hurt you too much. So it's not bad to discard this, but it's going to be a big benefit when you've got it in play and you've got cards that take advantage of his base attack, and being able to boost it for 1 is awesome. Immovable Object, 1 of these in the deck as well, and you get plus 4 hit points. So that puts us up to a whopping 22 hit points, and we get Retaliate 1. So this is a cool card. Want to get it onto Hulk early. It's going to stay whether we're switching back and forth, so we're going to have that 22 hit points. And when we're in hero form, we will get Retaliate, so maybe taking advantage of the ability to take some hits and throw damage back. This guy deals damage at a high rate, and that's going to be awesome for us. So we've got 4 aspects, of course, in the game: aggression, justice, protection, and leadership. Let's take a quick run through the aspects to see what we're going to try to build with when we're playing our Hulk deck. And starting off, we will look at our aggression aspect. So with aggression, we've got a great pool of cards here that have the strength resource. Aggression cards also tend to have a lower cost, so it's going to mean that we can get them out of our hand without having to discard our hand to Hulk. Some of the newer cards that we want to think about are going to include things like counterattack. This is going to let us take advantage of our huge health pool. We can take the hit and then deal damage back to an enemy equal to the amount of damage we've taken. Skilled Strike, this is a free card that's going to pump our attack for the turn. This is super useful, especially when we are attacking and using our attack more than once, maybe in a turn. This is not a static boost though. This is a one-off boost, so this is just for the activation. But it's still really useful. Has a matching resource icon and no cost, so I like it. And then in the Hulk pack itself, we're getting Dropkick, which is a 3-cost event. It deals 4 damage to an enemy, and if you pay for this using only strength resources, you can stun an enemy and draw a card. So I like that idea there. Being able to control the attacks that are coming from our enemies is useful. Drawing a card, again, probably not useful, probably going to get discarded, but this will cost everything that's in our hand when we play it, if we're in hero form, which you have to be to play it. Looking at stuff that doesn't have a strength icon, we've got Hall of Heroes. That's a 2-cost support. Whenever you defeat a minion, you can put a glory counter here, and then you can use the glory counter to draw cards when you're in Alter Ego. Since we do have some incentive to go back to Alter Ego for our high recover and our bigger hand size, this is useful. We may be in Alter Ego, we can get the extra cards, we can get our supports and setups on the table, and then flip back primed to use our events and other things quickly to deal damage and crush with Hulk. We've also got things like Get Over here. It does, again, no resource match here, but a free 1 damage. This is a card you don't mind drawing. If you've got like Dropkick and you've played your whole hand and you draw Get Over here, you can throw down the 1 extra damage and move on. Hulk doesn't really have the aerial trait, so no advantage to pull minions to you, but still 0 cost for 1 damage is a pretty efficient card, and with something where you're going to be discarding your hand on a regular basis, having cards that cost nothing are useful. And then again, 0 cost here, chase them down. It doesn't match with the resource, but it does let us take threat off of scheme, which is something that the deck is lacking, and so playing something like this that synergizes well with the idea that we want to attack and defeat enemies really helps out a ton for the Hulk deck. Let's take a look now at our Justice set. Justice here, we've got Daredevil, Concussive Blow, and Beat Cop all have the strength icon. All are strong cards and really can make a good foundation for a deck. Beat Cop has this cool ability where you can remove threat from a scheme, and then you can deal that threat back as damage. So I think that's pretty cool. You can have a couple of these in play, load them up, and then use them to take care of some people. Concussive Blow, again, it's got a strength resource, and then it uses a strength resource match to deal damage in addition to confusing, which is useful. The confusion can allow us the safety to go over to Alter Ego form, recover, take advantage of our lab, and then move back into hero form later. I also like the idea of using some of the static effects that stay on the table. Interrogation Room is a support, max 1 per player, but when you defeat a minion, you can exhaust it and remove a threat from a scheme. And it doesn't have counters or anything, so it just stays on the table. So playing this, getting it out of your hand, or out of your deck, thins the deck, lets us get more events and more other useful cards coming through our hand while we're in hero form, but this stays on the table and gives us a benefit that synergizes with our main objective. And then Under Surveillance, it's a strong card. Because we can't scheme, or because we don't have a scheme value, adding 4 to the main scheme is probably really helpful, and having that just stay on the table and get out of our deck also thins it and allows us again to go through the cards that we really want to have in play. So let's take a jump over now and take a look at our leadership cards. Leadership is really interesting, if not for the sheer irony of the fact that Hulk would be leading a group of people into battle, but for the fact that there's just a lot of synergy with the cards that have the resource match here. So as far as allies go, we've got Falcon, Vision, and Wonder Man make up a really solid core suite. Falcon and Vision are going to be tough to play at that 4 cost, but probably could be worked out. It would require a little bit more strategy and planning between hero form and Alter Ego to be able to play guys like this. And if you're feeling really frisky and want to go up to 3 4-cost allies, go with Iron Man 2. He's got a wild resource which counts as a strength resource, quality thwart, and attack, and he just kind of makes fun to add extra stuff into the deck. But still, the 4 cost on those 3 allies is going to be tough to manage, so you got to play smart with it. But then they synergize really well with what we have. We got Get Ready and Strength in Numbers are events. They're 0 cost, and they let us draw some more cards, and they let us ready our allies. So getting more activations out of our allies is good. Being able to use Strength in Numbers to draw those cards is also very good. Interesting and fun kind of synergy there. And then when we get outside of the strength icon, there's a couple other synergies that we could take advantage of. Quinjet as a support, so it comes out of the deck, gets on the table, and stays there, and it can help us deal with the cost for those 4 cost allies by stacking up counters on it and then eventually paying for one of those. And then also Teamwork is a free event that allows us to combine our allies' powers with, or stats with our hero stats. And that's useful because our hero already has such a big stat line. If we're adding 2 or 3 threat or attack to his attack, he starts to get really big, and we're not adding damage to our allies, so they can stay on the table and continue to provide us value there. So I mean, this is an interesting little engine you can get set up. Maybe not the best deck that's going to come out of leadership for Hulk. Maybe not the best deck that's going to come out of leadership for anyone ever. But it could be a little bit of fun. We'll probably play around with something like this to see how it works. If it burns and fails in its glory, then so be it. But it's an interesting idea, and looks like it'll be a lot of fun. Let's kick it off, or finish it off, with Protection. And in Protection, you've got Counterpunch and Momentum Shift are really solid options here. Counterpunch is 0 cost. You can't hold it until your next turn because you're going to discard in hero form. But you can, if you draw it, you could play it. That's a little bit of a downside because it's going to reduce how many cards are in your hand coming back to your hero turn, or to your turn, but it's good because you have a high attack, and so you can for free throw a bunch of damage back on to an enemy that's attacked you. Momentum Shift gives us the ability to heal and deal damage. This card's really exciting in a lot of Protection builds, but particularly so with 18 to 22 health on our Hulk. And then Clea, Black Widow, and Iron Fist are allies. They all have strength icons. Iron Fist is the only 4 cost. Clea and Black Widow are cheap and easy to play. Clea goes back into the deck and comes back to us to become a resource again, so that's really exciting and useful. And then Black Widow has the synergy with a mental resource, so if you wanted to look into a couple of extra mental resource cards to fill out your deck, you'd have the ability to use those with Black Widow as a synergy to cancel the effects of some revealed encounter cards. So that's going to wrap it up, though. I'm excited for the Hulk. The Hulk is a pack that it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. It sounds like it's going to have like a 1-point focus of attack, but there's some really interesting considerations about what you play, when, and how you really accomplish the goals. Playing it solo is going to be interesting because you got to figure out your threat management. But we are really excited to be getting the Hulk this week, and hope you are too. So the big guy is going to be strong, and we hope that you will tell us in the comments below what you think about the different aspects with Hulk. How do you plan on playing him? And until next time, let's go game.